Good day, everybody, and we are delighted you're joining us here. We're here from CDH, which is the crossdresser heaven, and from TGH, the transgender heaven. I'm Dr. D. Haggerty, and I'm going to be your hostess this evening.
And I'm Kimberly Florzak, and I'm going to be the guest.
And we want to welcome you to the very first episode of Now You Know Who You Know. Well, we're here from both the CDH and TGH sites to bring product to you, our listeners, and our members. We've listened to you. We've done surveys. What is it that you'd like to see, and what would you like us to deliver to you on the websites? Well, we had the opportunity to start with a couple of medical conversations, and I was delighted to be able to start that off. But there's really a much broader appeal to our membership, and we're excited to bring things to you such as socializing, voice, makeup, wig, deportment. We got a lot of products that are coming, but this very first segment that we'd like to bring to you is to introduce some of the people that you've gotten to know on the site, names and things you've seen on the forums, but we want to make them real. And a lot of these people will be your managers and ambassadors, the people that really do work pretty doggone hard for you, our members. And so we're going to lead it off with our first guest, Miss Kimberly. So welcome, Kimberly, and thank you for being here tonight and agreeing to be our first guest. So we'll go ahead and get started. Kimberly, give us a thumbnail or an overview of just who you are as Kimberly Florzak.
Okay, well, let me start off by saying thank you, Dr. D, for taking your time out to do this. I know it's a lot of hard work that we both do on the video team here. And it's basically, how can I say this? I was born not the person I was meant to be. From a very young age, I always felt like I was not who I was. Like most of the members here, they always have that feeling deep down inside of them that says, I'm another person. And then we have to figure out how we are going to embrace it. And
All
basically.
Right. Okay. Well, Kimberly, how long have you been here with us at TGH, and what role do you currently serve in?
Okay, I've been with both sites from April of 21. Currently on TGH, I am the Assistant Managing Ambassador for the media team, which basically I run the media team on the side of TGH. We do all the videos. I help maintain the site. I help manage all the different forums, all the different chat rooms, everything. I make it a safe and inviting place for our members to where if we have a problem in the background, we take care of it. A lot of stuff that we do, none of the members see. We'll go and we do a lot of stuff in the background to make sure you're safe, inviting, non-judgmental. And if you ever have a problem, you can always email one of us and we can take care of it.
You put in a lot of hours, Kimmie, and all the work that you do is all behind the scenes, really.
Yes, we do a lot behind the scenes. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't even see. Even our ambassadors don't see it. There's stuff that only managing ambassadors or assistant managing ambassadors know. A lot of stuff and we go through a lot of things every day. Even with this, there's a lot of things that even the ambassadors don't see.
Kimmie, one of your favorite topics, that something that you and I get to talk about a lot, is Keystone. Uh, could you give our audience just kind of a brief overview of what the Keystone Conference is and what it means to us in the cross-dresser and transgender universes?
Okay, the Keystone Conference, like most conferences, it's a gathering of cross-dressers, transgender, and all of the LGBTQ community. It is a safe and inviting atmosphere. No one judges, all are welcome. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what level of the spectrum you're on. It's just a place to be all together, meet people, and get to know different things about the communities.
Okay. Now we're going to kind of give folks a little bit of a teaser. So I'm going to ask you to give us a kind of a capsule summary. If you could sum up your thoughts, some of your experiences and your emotions in just one paragraph, how'd you describe it?
Okay, your first thoughts of it, if you ever go there for the first time, is, will I fit in there? Is this right for me? Yes, you are going, your very first time, you are going to be nervous. You're going to be anxious. You might even be shy to where you don't talk to many people, or you might hide because you're not sure if you fit in. And over time, it does get better. You will find out that as you're there, you do fit in. It's where you belong. You are part of that community. It doesn't matter if it's one person there or 700 people there. You fit in there as your true self.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you an opportunity to expand on some of those emotions and all the things that you experience at Keystone. But we're going to move you more through your lifeline and your experiences of kind of growing and becoming Kimberly. Now, you and I've talked about this. I'm not going to be throwing you any softballs here. Some of the things that we're going to talk about are going to be a little difficult, but we decided that those things were important to share with our viewers and the other folks on the site. So many of us have gone through the same things and walked very similar paths. So again, I appreciate you being willing to open up and share those things with our listeners, because I sure do think that a lot of these things are going to resonate with them. So with that, tell us, where you're from originally, Kimberly.
I'm originally from New Jersey. I lived there for 8 years, and then I moved to Las Vegas, Nevada. I was there for most of my schooling. In 1991, I moved to Northern Colorado. Spent from 91 to 96 up there. From 96 to 2024, I lived in west coast of Florida, the Tampa Bay area. And then from there, I moved up to Richmond last year.
Okay. What kind of a family did you grow up in? What was your family constellation?
I grew up in a Roman Catholic family. Basically, we were the Roman Catholic beliefs. We were also a trucking family. My father was a trucker basically all his life. He did do special police for like your NHRA drag strips and all up in New Jersey. He did a little bit of security guard in Vegas, but mainly it was trucking family.
Okay.
Every year, when I was young, every year for the summer, we'd jump in the truck and go cross country for 3 months.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to expand on that in just a second, okay?
Okay.
One of the discussions that we see on the sites a lot revolves around, when did you first realize that you were transgendered? And how the heck did you really know that?
Okay, it had to be right around 5 or 6. I would be playing with my cousins. I had both male and female, but I would always go towards playing with the female side because that's who I related more to. I've never related towards the male side. No matter how hard I tried, something always told me, no, that's not who you are. You are on the other side. And it was a struggle for a very, very long time. I would see the girls like, oh, why can't I do that? Why can't I play with those certain toys? Why can't I do this? Why can't I basically be who I am? So that went on. And then going through school, it was very difficult because I was not your typical male that like, oh, let's go out on the playground and play sports. So let's go do this. Let's go do that. No, I wanted to be around the girls all the time. So I'd always get picked on and bullied on during my schooling. That went from elementary school all the way through high school. It was very rough and tough.
With that kind of experience, just how'd you deal with that on the inside? You had that conflict, but what'd you do to deal with it?
At first, I would just I just bottle it all up. All the emotions, it would just bottle up, and then it would explode. It would be like one day, it would just all pour out, and I couldn't control it. And it poured out in different ways. Some of it was just yelling at people. Some of it was fighting. It all bottled up, and then all of a sudden exploded. And then in my 20s, I decided, okay, I'm going to put myself in a shell. You hear a lot of people say they put themselves in a shell to where they put a shell around who they are. Like, okay, I can't be this person because it's not who society wants me to be. I have to be who I am supposed to be because of the way I am, who I look like, not who I am. Sorry. Words got mixed up.
What were some of those childhood experiences growing up that actually led you to put yourself in that shell?
The constant being called, oh, you're not a guy, you're a girl, a whole bunch of unnecessary words that I will not repeat here because I want to keep this family friendly for the sites. Some of the words that back in the 80s that were addressed towards the LGBTQ community, I get that all the time. And it got to the point of where it was either put myself in a shell or fight all the time. And I got tired of always fighting with everybody. So it's like, okay, I'll just put myself in a shell and I will just become a robot. I'll do what you want me to do, not who I want to be. I'll be who you want me to be. And that lasted for my 20s, my 30s, and most of my 40s. When I went in, yes.
If you could wrestle with, this particular difficult question, what would you say was the very most difficult experience that you had growing up as a transgender child?
Okay, for that one, it would have to be almost like being an outcast. Like you didn't fit in with the girls, you didn't fit in with the guys. You're basically in the middle with no path to where you belonged. So you're always sitting by yourself, or you'd go and help the teachers do stuff so you didn't have to be around people because you couldn't handle all the ridicule you were getting. And it was like you weren't living your actual life. You were just living someone else's life. You were living the life that they wanted you to, not the life you were supposed to be. And yes, at the time it did, which I did not react on, but there was a lot of times during the childhood where it's like, why not just end it permanently? Because it is something that goes through 90% of cross-dresser and transgender people, that it gets too much to where it's just time to give up.
But you didn't.
No, I came close a couple times later in life.
With those kinds of difficulties in your school and growing up life, you said you grew up in a Roman Catholic family. So how did you make that work in your family life? And how did they react to those things?
I hid it. For most of my life, I was in hiding. I wouldn't dare show any part of this because my mother and father were strictly against it. Back in the 80s, they'd say, oh, look at the freaks, look at the abominations. And yes, that played on my mind that, okay, I feel like that, and you're going to call them that, so are you actually calling me that? And they didn't realize that, yes, they were technically calling me that, but I couldn't show it. Because they'd be like, no, you're not, blah, 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 all that stuff.
So you really kept you out of view of your family.
Yes.
But that was then, this is now. So you've had some pathway to get to where you are now. You've shared with me a couple of your stories, kind of how some of the family found out about Kimberly.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. That leads into my first Keystone.
Okay.
I had been being me in hiding for 2 years before I went to my first Keystone. 21, 22. Yeah, 2 years before I went to my first Keystone. I would go out with friends I made on the site. I would sneak out, say I was going to a friend's house, an old colleague at work. It was always an hour or more away from my house. I would always leave my house dressed in male mode, and I'd always go find a parking lot and change in the car. Do my makeup, put my hair on and everything in the car. I'd go up there, I'd do what I need to do, come back, change back into the other mode. I did that for at least 2 years. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to Keystone. So I went and made up the story that, okay, I'm going to go visit an old high school friend up in Pennsylvania. So at first, that had no problem with it. It went through no problem. Until I went and was getting my car ready. My mother took my car to the family shop to get tires put on it for the trip. I thought I had everything out of the car, everything that said who I was. What I forgot to take out of the car was my therapy papers. They're on the driver's side up in the visor. I felt like that was the safest place to keep them. They're up there for a while, and then I went and they were there. My mother brings the car home. She goes and says, let's go to the store. I'm like, okay, no problem. We usually did that anyway because she didn't want to drive by herself. This was at night. She really didn't like drive at night. So I'm like, okay, no problem. We get in the car. We're going down the road. She looks at me and says, why were there papers in the car that says therapy with the name Kimberly on them? Without even taking a breath, without even missing a step, I said, I might as well just tell you, it's because I'm transgender. Yes, there was shock, and it's like, then we talked it out. She accepts it. At first, she's like, okay. She accepted it, but not really. But then she went and started watching different shows about it, which I thought my mother would never do. She asked me questions, and then she started watching shows about it. Then she got to the point where, okay, I will go and I accept it, but I don't accept it. I was able to start wearing more feminine clothes. Only thing she said is no skirts or dresses and light makeup. She was starting to give me makeup tips, what products to buy, and then it progressively went on. I went up to Keystone first year, had a good time, came back, and it just started more and more becoming the true me at all times. By the time I left for up here in Richmond, I was wearing everything but dresses and skirts. All my clothes were feminine. I was wearing nails with nail polish, makeup, flats. So it was getting to the point where, okay, I can be who I am around my family.
So you were able to break out of that shell you talked about with your family too?
Yes.
Well, at least we didn't have to listen to a story about you living out of the car for months and months. Well, you ultimately moved. I mean, you've had this transition to where you are now. Tell us about the world that you're living in now. And I think you also have a story about how you got the job that you currently have.
Okay. I decided on last year on February 29th, Leap Day, to make the official move. And the reason why I chose that day was leaping into a new part of the journey. Because, okay, March 1st, okay, that's another day. But leap year, you're actually leaping into the next chapter. So I chose February 29th. I went and left on February 29th. Got up to Richmond on March 1st. Went and did everything, looked for a job. I got an interview with the current job I have. The day I went there, I was dressed like I was dressed as me. Had a nice pair of slacks on, nice top. My nails were done. I had the wig on. I had makeup on. And I went up to the customer service desk. I said, I'm here for a 1 o'clock interview. I believe that was the time. They're like, okay, hold on. We'll get the manager. Manager comes down from the office, introduces himself, and without hesitation, I said, hi, I'm Kimberly. Even though my application all had my legal name at the time. I didn't even mention it. I didn't even hesitate. It just came out as that because that's how I wanted it to happen. I did not want everybody to know exactly my old me. I wanted them to know who I was at the time. And from then on, the only thing that had my actual name on it was the official paperwork. The schedule, name tag, everybody knew me as Kimberly. And then on July 12th of last year, I actually changed my name to Kimberly. And then I went and handed them the paperwork. They changed all the paperwork. So as of July 12th, there is nothing at work that shows my old name.
Well, speaking of changing your old name, you had a trip recently, I think, to have some other changes to your name.
Yes, I went up to New Jersey where I was born to get the paperwork to change my birth certificate. Because it's like, okay, I've got the name change. I've got the legal papers. Let's get the birth certificate done so I can erase the old me. I went up there. I got the paperwork. I had to send it in because the office I went to is like, well, we're a walk-in office, but we don't do that. Like, okay, no problem. It was a nice 2-day trip. I drove up there, enjoyed myself. And I felt it was time to do that because I do that, then I know for a fact on my true self, my new birth certificate is going to have my name on it, my legal name now, and the gender will be changed to female. Because even on my license, I have female as my gender.
Now, so you're invested in Kimberly, and you've been pretty successful bringing all those things to closure. I'm going to switch gears on you a little bit, Kimberly, and I'm going to get to what you've told me plenty of times is your favorite topic. And so we're going to talk about Keystone a little bit. And folks, when we talk about it, she's being very reserved tonight. I got to give her credit for that. This girl bubbles over every time we get on to Keystone. All right, so Kimmie, here's the ground rules. How'd you make your first decision to attend? What went through your mind when you registered for the convention? How'd you prepare to go the first time? How did you get there? Because a lot of people have concerns about how they're going to travel to the convention like the Keystone. You get to the door. What kind of emotions did you have? What things enveloped you at that time? What'd you feel? What'd you experience? Tell us about it. So, all right, girlfriend, spill the beans and you get to run with it.
Okay. I went and joined the site on April 21. Everyone was talking about how they just came back from Keystone that year. I'm like, okay, Keystone, what is this? So I started getting into what it is. And I'm like, okay, I've never been to something like that. I never even knew that existed. Stuff like that existed. So I was asking people a lot of questions. I'm going through all this. Okay, is it right for me? A lot of times I'd say yes. A lot of times I'm like, would I fit in? Is it a place for me? So I kept going and going through my mind. The 22 Keystone comes around. I'm like, no, I'm not quite ready to go yet. I want to go, but there's too many variables that's stopping me. I'm still fairly closeted with who I am. No one in my family knows it all. So it's like, okay, 22, I did not go. And then the urge kept getting more and more and more to where you have to go. You can't miss 23. I'm sorry. No, okay, I might be getting my dates wrong. 24, 23, 22. No, I'm right. 20. I apologize. I lost my track of my days, years.
Video is scrambling your poor brain.
No. I always get that because I keep forgetting that the one that we just had was 25s. So that is my mistake. Welcome to live video. And I'm like, okay, I've got to figure out a way to go. Then I'm trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to put this on cards that no one's going to find out that I've done it. So I'm like, okay, prepaid credit cards, perfect thing to do. That way, only I know I have them. I put the money on it. No one knows that it's actually what I'm spending the money on. So I go and I sign up for the conference in January. I make up my name tag, all this, and like, okay. I get my hotel room. It was the first year that was at the Hilton in Harrisburg. And then they had a hotel right next to it, the Crown Plaza. Like, okay, I'm going to stay there for the first year because in case for some odd reason I can't handle the conference, I can go back to my hotel room and not be around it still. So we got up there I got up there on Tuesday. I drove from Florida, south of Tampa. I drove up to Harrisburg. It was a 16-hour drive. Okay. Could I have flown? Yes. But then I would have my vehicle or nothing up there. So I made the trip up there. I get up there, I check into my hotel room. My friends I had from the website that were up there like, okay, we've got a room in the Hilton, come up to my room. So I leave my hotel, I walk across the street, and I go meet my friends. Now, the ones up here at Keystone were the ones that I've never met in person. I've only seen them talk to them on chat. So we meet. Everything is okay. Yes, I am nervous because I have met other people, but it's like I'm meeting people that I've chatted with, but never seen them in person. How they go and take me as I am in real life. So I get there. We do that. We go down to the bar that night. We have a few drinks. We're chatting. We go up to the room. We're chatting some more. It's all good. Then comes the first day, which is a Wednesday. I go into the hotel lobby. A lot of the attendees are there. A lot of them are already dressed in how they want to present themselves for the conference. I go and get my packet. Then I meet up with my friends. We're walking around. I'm looking at all the different exhibits, looking at the book to see, do I want to do any of the seminars, this and that. Then about midday, I'm standing there and all of a sudden it hits me. I belong here. This is like home. This is who I am. Nothing else mattered. I was actually in a place that accepted me for who I was. So I went and continued it through the day. That night, we were in the bar. It was packed because it's a nice little place, but it's big, but not big. I'm sitting at the table with 7 people that I knew from chat. We're talking. My anxiety goes through the roof, so I excuse myself. I go find me a nice little corner to try to calm down. About an hour later, I go back to the table. When I go back to the table, I sit down. They ask me if I'm all right, and that's when it hit. That's when the emotional breakdown actually hit. I literally put my head in my hands, and I couldn't speak. All I could do was move my head. I couldn't say any words. I had 5 of my friends around me trying to ask me if I was okay. It took 10 minutes for one of my friends to get me to get up, leave the bar, and talk one-on-one. The emotions were so high that I couldn't control them. I'm like, do I belong here? Why am I here? Why am I accepted for who I am and not who I was? Why are these people that don't really know me accepting me for who I am? The emotions were very, very high. And it took about 25 minutes of talking. Then I finally calmed down enough to go back to the table. And then from then, it got easier. Friday night, they have a dance party. I don't dance very much, but I did a very little. Saturday night, they have a big gala where you get all dressed up in your favorite gown. All the attendees attend it. That's when you got all 600 to 700 people in one room. And they have a guest speaker. The guest speaker will go and tell their journey. How they became who they are, the struggles they've had. Then you have a band with a dance party after it. And then that Sunday, you leave. But you never leave the same as you get there. You get there as one person, you're leaving as a total other person because the experience that you just had, especially the first year, can never be taken away from you. And it's however you make the experience. If you let your fear control you, it's going to control you. If you let it go and you embrace exactly what the conference is about, then you'll get the full experience of the Keystone Conference. And I've gone for 3 years now. CDH and TGH has a Friday meetup. This year, because I went as an assistant managing ambassador, I went and promoted the video section. I stood up in front of 70 members of our community in person. That's one thing that I would never have done the first year or even way before that, of actually stepping up in front of 70 people and talking, and especially as who I am. So I did that, and that one, it just made me feel like, okay, yes, I belong. I am who I am. No one's going to take this away from me, and I just need to embrace exactly who I am.
Well, with all the emotions and things that you experienced at Keystone, what would you say is the single most important thing that you carried away from Keystone, or that one thing that you want our listeners to know about Keystone?
That when you first go there, that you will know that you belong, that this is where you are meant to be. It doesn't matter if you're a cross-dresser or if you're transgender. You go there. Yeah, if you're a cross-dresser, you go there. You might arrive in male mode. You might leave in male mode. But for those 4 or 5 days, you can be your true, authentic self. and no one will care no one cares where you come from, who you are. All they know is that you are who you are at the time, and it doesn't matter anything else. And everyone can care less what your outside of Keystone life is. Well, no, I shouldn't say it. What your male life is if you're a crossdresser. All they care about is you're here, you're part of our community, and we embrace you, we welcome you, and you're basically family.
Are you going to do it again?
Of course.
That was a silly question.
Why wouldn't I? It's like, okay, we left this year. I'm like, okay, when is it next year? Once you go, you're always planning the following year.
Well, I'm glad your Jack in the Box finally popped out with Keystone. But now that you've been to Keystone, are you going to do some other events? Has this influenced you to attend some others? We got a lot of really nice events across the country.
Yes, it will. And actually, when you are registered at Keystone, they do have a list of other events around the country for the year. You can go on their website and you can find out, okay, you got your Erie Gala, you got your Atlanta Conference, you got your E-Spirit, which is actually coming up, which unfortunately I won't be able to make because it's out in Washington. But you have your different ones, and you can pick and choose on which ones you want. If you can only make one, make it Keystone. That is one of the
great advertising.
That's basically in my opinion, that is the main one. Is Keystone. All the other ones are a lot smaller.
If you could leave our audience with one really important piece of advice about Keystone, what would it be?
To go and to let yourself just be you. Don't worry about anything. It's like, okay, I'm here. This is who I am.
Is it true that the last baby?
I just need to go and be who I am, and nothing else matters.
Okay. If you could leave our audience with an important piece of advice from your personal travails and your pathway, what would you say to our listeners in terms of how to best go forward, becoming and recognizing who they really are?
That's actually a question that only that person can answer, because no one knows your true situation. Everyone's journey is different. Everyone's at a different stage in their journey. Yes, a lot of times Keystone is that stepping point into the next part of your journey. And it's like another mountain that you have overtaken. Because your journey is like mountains. You have your highs, you have your lows. You're always going to the top. You never really make it to the top, because there's always something else in your journey that you want to improve on or that you want to do. Yes, you're going to have pitfalls, but you're going to make it eventually.
All right. Well, Kimmie, we've come to the close of our time. I'm going to thank you for being here with us. For those of you who are listening, let me just say, this is about the most calm, cool, and collected I've seen this girl in the months that we've been working together. Maybe I need to threaten her with putting her on video again to calm her down.
Nah.
But we really do appreciate you being here with us. And like I said, now you know who you know, and you've gotten to know one person that is a manager with TGH. Uh, those people really do work really hard for you behind the scenes. And if you get an opportunity, if you ever get a chance to meet Kimberly, run up, throw your arms around her neck, and give her a big hug, and tell her thank you for all the work that she does. Uh, you're really going to enjoy knowing her. We're going to have a great time bringing some of our other members out here for you to meet and hear their stories. Uh, they're excited to do that too, because they want to share their lives and their stories with you. So we got a lot of really exciting things coming for you. And again, I'm Dr. D. Haggerty, and I really appreciate you being here with us tonight. Kimberly, you get the last words. You get to close out.
Okay, well, I want to thank you for taking your time to do this. It was a pleasure and an honor to have you do this for me. It's a team effort on part of everything. Yes, I might be just one person in the scheme of it. And yes, we do encourage members to reach out to the media team to come do one of these on your own. If you want to share your experience, share your story, we would love to have you come on to here and share it with the community, because everybody's story, there's always going to be someone like, okay, that's me. Plus, with these, if we even touch one person that says, okay, that's what I'm going through, and yes, I can go and I can change, I can take that next step, it's all worth it. It's not, I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing this for our community, to keep it striving, to keep it the knowledge of what's going on, and to keep it the safe and secured community that everyone has come to enjoy. And at that, with that note, I think it's a good way to end the video.
All right, Kimberly, thank you again for being with us. All right, folks,